Holy Mother, Power of Management Part 2. Last week we celebrated Holy Mother's birth anniversary, and before that we had discussed how she managed her household, her family members. Today in Part 2 we will try to see how did she manage the great order, Ramakrishna order, and monks. And also how she managed Sri Ramakrishna. For Holy Mother, Sri Ramakrishna was her God, her Ishta, and her guide. Sri Ramakrishna was her life. So when she came to Kolkata, Dakshineshwar, and started serving Sri Ramakrishna, totally hidden from the sight of other devotees. You will find in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, as late as 1885, Yam writes that in Nahabad lives Holy Mother, and hardly one or two devotees only know that there she lives, always hidden from the sight and knowledge of the devotees who used to visit Sri Ramakrishna. Though she was Sri Ramakrishna's consort, his wife, but she never came to his room where the rolls of laughter, words of great wisdom were being spoken from morning till evening. She never claimed her right for that. She never demanded anything. That we pray, may we not accuse, demand, or complain. That was Holy Mother. Her management sprung from these principles. She never demanded or complained or accused. So what Sri Ramakrishna said to her were the words of God she always followed. But there were sometimes exceptions. When her motherhood was set to challenge. You know that famous story. Holy Mother used to bring food to Sri Ramakrishna when nobody was in Sri Ramakrishna's room. And one day when she prepared a plate in the nearby Nahabad, she used to live a few yards away from Sri Ramakrishna's room. Very small room, we'll talk about that, how she used to manage in that room. When you see the size of that room, you'll be amazed that a person can live in that room. It was like the cell of a monk or the prison cell of a person. So there she prepared food and she was about to bring, and at that time one woman came and she said, "Mother, can I carry this to Sri Ramakrishna?" Mother knew that woman. She was not a very good character. Holy Mother said, "Yes," and she gave. The lady went to Sri Ramakrishna's room. Sri Ramakrishna saw the woman and asked food to keep. Then the woman left the room. Her wish was fulfilled. She wanted to serve Sri Ramakrishna. Then Holy Mother entered and asked Sri Ramakrishna to sit down on the floor where food was kept, plate was kept, and said, "Eat." Sri Ramakrishna stretched his hand to take the food from the plate, but he could not take the food. Then he looked at Holy Mother and said, "What have you done? Why did you let that lady to bring this food, that woman to bring this food? I cannot eat." Holy Mother said, "Please eat for today Then Sri Ramakrishna says, that can be done with a condition. If you promise to not to give my food to be brought by anyone, then I can try today. But you have to promise you will not send it through without knowing the person. What would happen? Other person would say, yes, from now on I will see that nobody brings, I will bring food for you. It was her privilege also. That was her little time of contact with Sri Ramakrishna. Instead of that, Holy Mother said, if you say that to me, I cannot do that. Because if anybody asks me something, addressing me as mother, I cannot stand. I have to give that. She told me, Mother, can you give me that? When anybody said, Mother, give me this, I cannot just say no. So she didn't promise. Sri Ramakrishna looked at her again and he started eating. Swami Sridharananda gave a very nice explanation for that. Sri Ramakrishna, who could not touch the food, how he could eat? If food had become impure by the touch of an impure person, how could he eat that impure food? Sridharananda said it was purified by the presence of Holy Mother. Holy Mother's look purified the food. And Sri Ramakrishna wanted that. That's how Holy Mother used to manage Sri Ramakrishna. And she did not compromise whether when there was a question of her motherhood is being taken into stake. Whenever anyone asked anything to her, addressing her as mother, she granted, and the thing is she still grants. When we ask her, even today, saying, Mother, do this, she does give what is good for us. Sri Ramakrishna used to eat very little. Holy Mother saw this, very little, she had definite amount of milk and rice. And as mothers are, they want to feed children more. That's what mother is. Always the quantity of rice will be bigger. There are mothers here who are like my mother. They also bring things in huge quantity. I ask, please bring less. They also bring bigger and sometimes it looks smaller. That's all mother's heart. It need not necessarily be a woman. Any man who has mother's heart will, first expression of love, or the best expression of love is feeding others. That is where mother's heart comes. And I also feel, you also feel. And how could mother manage that? Sri Ramakrishna doesn't want to eat more. So mother used to bring that rice. She used to press the rice so that it looks smaller, but it was condensed, fresh, very much deep. And for the milk, she used to boil it for a longer time so that water is evaporated and it becomes little thicker and contains more quantity than what it looks. And she used to feed Sri Ramakrishna like that. Sri Ramakrishna had a keen eye on his disciples and devotees regarding their spiritual practices. And he had made a quota of food for them to be eaten. Baburam will eat 2 chapatis, 2 breads. Naren will eat 3 or 4 breads, like that. He had definite quota. But he found that, and he told Holy Mother, give that much. Don't give more to these young disciples who will be meditating after eating. They'll be meditating until late at night. So if they eat more in the dinner, how could they eat more? Then he found, Sri Ramakrishna found that Holy Mother was still giving them more than what Sri Ramakrishna had prescribed. He called Holy Mother to task and said, I told you to give less food and you are giving them more. Holy Mother said, they are young boys and they need more food. Sri Ramakrishna. But what will happen to their spiritual practices? They have to meditate till late at night. If they eat more, how will they meditate? What about their spiritual practices? Holy Mother said, you don't have to worry about their spiritual practices. I will take care of that. And one of them was Jogi Maharaj, Swami Yogananda, Baburam Maharaj, Swami Kripamayananda, who later became. And Sri Ramakrishna, I think he wanted to instill that feeling in Holy Mother. He knew that after he leaves his body, physical body, Holy Mother has to continue his work on this world. And instead of becoming angry, he must have become very happy when he heard, I will take care of their spiritual practices. I know how to manage my children, he said. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, she knew why Sri Ramakrishna brought her in this world. What was her role in fulfillment of the advent of Sri Ramakrishna? Holy Mother was very much aware. She had to form, guide and protect the fledgling order that would be formed in the name of Sri Ramakrishna. Few young boys were already there living together. But after a few days they went to different bars, like a pariprajaka, like a mendicant monk, and having hardships, very great hardships. No proper food, no shelter, no clothes. Only one goal was there, how to realize God. Holy Mother also went for pilgrimage. But her wish was how the Sangha comes, how those who have renounced the world in the name of Sri Ramakrishna come together and an order is formed, monastery is formed. That was her deep wish. She knew that has to be done. And wherever she saw that there were monks living in a better lifestyle, they had no worry for food and clothes, she always prayed to Sri Ramakrishna, grant them something that they live together and they don't have to think of these small things. I read from Swami Gambhirananda's book to you. The mother visited Bodh Gaya at the end of March 1890. On that occasion, the contrast between the wealth of the monastery there, on the one hand, and on the other, the absence of any permanent residence, the indescribable want of food and raiment, and the hard physical labor for running the monastery on the part of her world-renouncing sons moved very much the mother of the order. She said subsequently, for this, how I shed tears and prayed to the Master. And only then, through His grace, has come into existence today the monk monastery. When the Master left his body, the boys gave up the world and gathered together round a rented shelter for some days. Then they scattered about independently and went on roaming about here and there. Then I felt intensely sad and prayed thus to the Master. Master, you came, played, and disported with these few and then went away. And should everything end with that? If so, where was the need for coming down? in the midst of so much sorrow. I have seen in Benares and Vrindavan many holy men who get their food by begging and shifting their residence from the shadow of one tree to that of another. There is no dearth of holy men of that type. I shan't be able to bear the sight of my sons who come out in your name, going about begging for food. My prayer is that those who leave the world in your name may never be in need of bare subsistence. They will all live together, holding to your ideas and ideals, and the people afflicted with the worries of the world will resort to them and be solaced by hearing about you. That's why you came. My heart is pained to see them wandering about. After that, Holy Mother continues, after that, Naren, Swami Vivekananda, began gradually building up all this, and gradually the Belur monastery was formed. The companions, Jogima and Gulama, who went with Mother, she later described that wherever Mother went, to whoever deity she worshipped, she would be always praying. She'll notice any stone she worshipped as God, she would be always praying for her children. Let there be a permanent shelter for that. All this what Swami Vivekananda made is in the background Holy Mother's prayer and blessings. Now Sangha was formed by her prayer to Thakur. Thakur put the seed of Sangha, asking Naren to see after he passes away that no one leaves order and goes back home. They should stay together. Then monks also recognized the power of Holy Mother and considered her as Sangha Janani, mother of the order. And her words were always final. Her decision was always respected and carried out in everything. The great Swami Vivekananda also followed what Mother instructed. Once, there were so many things where Mother manages the things. She gives the decision. Swami Vivekananda made the center in Himalayas called Advaita Ashrama. The ashrama where non-duality would be practiced. And there were some monks, and they were monks of the Ramakrishna order. So when they went there, they started keeping the picture of Sri Ramakrishna and worshipping. And some of them were Swami Vivekananda's disciples. Swami Vivekananda went there and he saw that Sri Ramakrishna is being worshipped. Then he said, who brought this old man here? Here also he has come, remove this. It was difficult for young brahmacharis and monks to do that because Sri Ramakrishna was their Ishta, their God, their everything. And they were pained seeing Swami Vivekananda's reaction. And they complained to Holy Mother that Swami Vivekananda does not give us permission to worship Sri Ramakrishna here in Advaita Ashram in the Himalayas. Swami Vivekananda had a purpose in making that ashram in that Himalaya, the heights of Himalayas, where he thought the people from the West who will love Vedanta and will be in search of the truth, non-dual truth, will come to this cooler region and meditate on that and worship and try to find that non-dual reality There will be no worship of duality, no Sri Ramakrishna even. That was Swami Vivekananda's idea. And question was asked to Holy Mother, difficult question. I said, Swami Vivekananda he put us to keep photo of Sri Ramakrishna back into our trunk and no worship is allowed. Sri Ramakrishna was Holy Mother's all in all, her life. But what does she write? She says, Naren is right. Sri Ramakrishna was Advaita. You are also follower of Advaita. So there will be no worship of Sri Ramakrishna in Advaita Ashrama at Mayavati in the Himalayas. It was so wonderful decision that gave to manage the things. It was not always that whatever Naren said, Holy Mother accepted. Swami Vivekananda traveled India and then monastery Math was formed. He came to the West and saw people full of activity, rajas. People working very hard, trying to improve themselves, very great rajas, power of rajas, activity, working in the people. And he found that Indians were great people, very loving, very kind. But he felt that they were more tamasic, more satisfied with whatever it comes to them. No desire for worldly improvement of the worldly things. So that pained him. He always thought that there should be a balance of spirituality and prosperity. Spirituality doesn't mean you have to live in a rags and those things. You can live a moderate, decent life, style, and still be very highly spiritual. You don't need to be just poor and giving on alms. Swami Vivekananda, for general public, not only to the monks, he thought there is lack of rajas, and goal is sattva, and goal is still overcoming sattva, and people are steeped in tamas. So how to do that? He gave lectures, but still he was not satisfied. He said some ritual has to be done so the rajas of whole country is roused and people feel active. Only Mother Kali can do that. How to please Mother Kali? She loves sacrifice. Goat sacrifice. And Swamiji decided that I will make sacrifice of 1,000 goats in Belur so that the activity, the rajas quality of the whole country is roused. His thought was for whole country, for whole humanity. Swami Vivekananda was the India in blood and flesh. And he decided that for the good of the country. Holy Mother heard that this was being planned. He sent a notice to Naren. Naren, you are not going to do that. In a monastery, monks living, that is not the way to rouse rajas. So please stop your plan of sacrificing 1,000 goats. And when this instruction came from Holy Mother, that was stopped. That was not carried out. No question asked. Mother, I want you to raise the rajas, I want to do this good. Nothing. Holy Mother said that, finished. Swami Vivekananda started relief work. Hospitals should be there, charitable dispensaries, printing press, magazine, work for the good of humanity. Atmano mokshartham jagadhitaya cha. For one's own liberation and for the good of the world. That's how he established Ramakrishna Mission in 1897. That was the motto. That is the motto of the Ramakrishna Mission. Then there was a big plague outbreak in Calcutta. Funds were few, devotees were numbered. There was a need of more funds to serve that epidemic. And Swami Vivekananda said, with great effort he had established with the donation of some Westerners, they gave money to buy the land of Belur. But he said, we will sell this land to serve the suffering people of Calcutta. The Belur land will be sold. We are monks, we live under the land. Holy Mother heard that and against the wish of Swami Vivekananda, that this month is going to do relief work like this in future for hundreds and thousands of times. It cannot be all spent for one relief work. So you are not going to sell Belur. And further, how are you doing that without consulting me? Belur is dedicated in my name. So you cannot do that unless I agree. And there is no question of my agreeing. It has been the shelter provided by my prayer to Sri Ramakrishna. And it has a long-lasting purpose. Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda dropped the idea of selling Belur. And later on, the plague work, this relief work for plague was done so well. And Sister Nivedita and a few monks were instrumental in organizing that, and they got praise from local government. How was that organized? Second time that example we get how Holy Mother overruled Swami's wishes. The Belur Math Swamiji was staying, and one of the servants was found to have greed. And through the power of greed, he stole something from Belur Math. It was reported to Swami Vivekananda. He had his own way of management. You know what we do. When someone pays staff or some servant, you find stealing, what we do? We just ask him to go away. We can keep a thief in our house. Swami Vivekananda did the same. He said, it's done, please leave the monastery. That man was poor, and instead of going back home, he went to mother's house across the river where Holy Mother was staying. Got her feet, wept and cried, and confessed everything, and said, Mother, I am poor. If I have to go, how will I sustain my family? So Mother, when anybody said, Mother, do this for me, how could she refuse? And that day, Swami Kripamayananda had gone to Calcutta, and before coming back to Belur, he went to Mother's house at Udvodhan to pay his respects. Seeing Babura Maharaj, Swami Kripamayananda, Holy Mother said, I understand this person has done some mischief in the monastery, but please take him back and reinstall him in his job. Babura Maharaj said, but Mother, he was removed by Swami Vivekananda. And Swami Vivekananda's personality, everybody knew. Brother disciples were so afraid to approach him and talk with him. Only one of them was like a baby, like a very childish nature, childlike nature, Swami Subodhananda. Whenever something was to be reported to Swami Vivekananda, they would say, Subodhananda, go and tell Swami. Once Swamiji was not coming for food, dinner time was already there. They asked him to come, dinner is already there. Swamiji was reading some book. He went there, and from the back, he just closed the book. Swami Vivekananda, nobody could do that. Swami Vivekananda looked at it was Subodhananda. And then he said, Khoka, what did you do? Now where I was reading, how would I know? Subodhananda said, am I fool? I've already seen the page number. That was Swami Subodhananda. But all other brother disciples were very scared of him. He has such a great personality. They could not approach him. And when Babura Maharaj was asked, take back this person, he said to Holy Mother, but Mother, Swami Vivekananda himself drove him out. Holy Mother said sternly, go and tell Naren that I have asked to take back this person in the job. No second word was uttered. He was taken, and Swami Vivekananda saw this. He was coming, and he said, "You see what Baburam, how foolish he is. He's bringing that man back to a monastery." And they were coming by boat. Swami Vivekananda could see. And then he came and he took him to us. Baburam, before he said something, he goes and says, "Naren, what to do? Mother said him to take back." Then everything was settled. Like this, there were instances when Holy Mother overruled what Swami Vivekananda said. Not that everything she supported, but when there was a question of, there was a big opposition when Swami Vivekananda started work as a means to purify the heart and as a monastic principle of spiritual practice. Running schools, hospitals, relief works, printing press, that were the things. There was a big opposition from very close devotees of Sri Ramakrishna. That's what Sri Ramakrishna always said, asked disciples to pray, meditate, do japam, take the name of God. There was never, he said that you have to work for the society. What this Naren is doing, he went to the West and all brought that ideas from the West, copied that, and he's teaching that. It is against what Sri Ramakrishna wished, or Sri Ramakrishna taught. And those people, among those who had this idea that it is against the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, were big person. Even young Mahendranath Gupta, recorder of gospel, and even many monks, his own brother disciples, they all thought that is not what Sri Ramakrishna taught. He taught somehow we realize God, do everything, give up everything and realize God. Mother reduces, if you are devotee, mother reduces like a pregnant woman has to do less work, mother will make you work less and do more prayer. That was what Sri Ramakrishna taught. But when this came to Holy Mother said, no, what Naren has done is right. How long will you meditate and pray and do japam? In 24 hours? How many hours can you do it? You have to leave doing some work. Otherwise mind will be frittered and it will be empty and you will not be good practice. So mind has to be kept in some work. That has to be accepted. And to say this, when Mother went to Varanasi, they had made a place where poor widows, to be brought and served. And Holy Mother praised that very much under the inspiration of Sri Rama, when Swami Vivekananda was being carried out. She said that, I feel Sri Ramakrishna is moving here and accepting everything, worship. And she even donated 10 rupee note to the hospital. Now there we have a big hospital called Ramakrishna Mission Home of Service. And that note, 10 rupee note, old note, they have still preserved there. And sometimes requested, they show us the big side note, old that type currency note of India. And sometimes they show us, otherwise they keep guarded, very secret, that Holy Mother's blessings. You know the story of what happened. Swami Vivekananda said, he confronted Swami Vivekananda in the meeting. And he said that what you started the work is your own whims and your own plan. It's against Sri Ramakrishna's wish and his teachings. And it was not his own voice, it was the voice of many persons. Whenever someone confronts a great person like Swami Vivekananda, there must be some other person behind. So Swami Vivekananda was very pained and went to the room and shut the room. He was not coming out for a long time. And after some time they thought something happened, they knocked the door. Swamiji was crying. And he said to Jogin, Swami Yogananda, Jogin, do you know Swami Sri Ramakrishna better than I know him? Do you think I am doing anything other than what he wanted and taught? Have I ever deviated even an inch, even the hair's breadth from the wishes of Sri Ramakrishna? Then they realized it must be Sri Ramakrishna's wish. Swami Vivekananda was always, his hands and mind was always guided by Sri Ramakrishna. We know the story. How Sri Ramakrishna used to say, come and teach him what to give a talk, next talk. When Swami Vivekananda used to be void of the thoughts for the next talk. And sometimes he used to give 2 or 3 lectures. One lecture he gave, second lecture, third lecture. Well, how many thoughts would come? Then someone would come at night and for next day, and he will say, it was Sri Ramakrishna coming and talk this. All his talks were inspiration and guidance of Sri Ramakrishna. He writes one letter and says, do you think I am writing this letter? Why he was writing? It is great power that is Sri Ramakrishna that is making me write. You read this letter, make others read this, and there will be inspiration flowing from this. Because the power behind this my writing is not me, it is Sri Ramakrishna himself. And he was always guided by Sri Ramakrishna. That Holy Mother sometimes overruled what Swami Vivekananda wished. Once, one brahmachari was found lacking something. Swami Shivananda was the president. He said, oh, you are not you don't seem to be fit to become a monk, you can go back home. So this also like that thief, like that person who was stolen, went to Holy Mother. Holy Mother heard everything and sent him back and said to, reported through him that asked Tara, his name was Tara, to say Holy Mother had asked him to give back. And Swami Shivananda, when he heard that he had gone to Holy Mother and Holy Mother had asked him to take back in the monastery, she said, oh, you have gone to High Court. Then nothing can be done. This is the decision of the High Court. You will be here, don't worry. No going away from here. Once there was a problem in Birurmat. Freedom fighters were joining the order. When they found mere killing others, the Britishers, will not serve the purpose. And they found greater knowledge in the words and teachings of Swami Vivekananda. Make your life perfect and serve the world, serve God. They gave up the freedom fighting and joined the order. One after another, many started coming. 5, 6 were already there. What happened that those freedom fighters, whom the British government called terrorists, they saw whenever they were caught, they had 2 books. One was Gita, another was the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. So they thought this Swami Vivekananda's inspiration is making them terrorists in their language. When they joined the order, they suspected that the order has a role behind that they are instigating or they are inspiring people to fight against the Britishers. Then they thought of closing the Birurmat. And they even published in the Gazette that has become a den of terrorists, like that thing. And they had a plan to close the Birurmat and make it a goods trade. For the goods trade, they will have a yard there to store the things. This was planned. The news came to Birurmat. Now what to do? Viceroy himself was against Birurmat. There were 2 proposals. Actually, there was one proposal, very strong proposal. Ask the novices who have joined and who had the background of freedom fighting to leave the order. There was no other way, otherwise it would be closed. The news reached Holy Mother. Holy Mother said, they were freedom fighters, they were doing nothing wrong, they are patriots, lover of country, lover of human beings. They have given the path of violence, have joined the order in the name of Sri Ramakrishna. None of them will be removed. If anyone in the name of freedom fighter is to be removed, if anyone is to be removed from a monastery, no monk will stay there. That is the strong determination and decision of Holy Mother. They all have to be there. Don't think of removing anyone. And they were really scared. Then Holy Mother instructed Saradanandaji, why don't you yourself go to the Viceroy and meet him? New fledgling, few small monastery, what the Viceroy, they already decided how they hear. Swami Saradananda, Holy Mother blessed Swami Saradananda when he presented the philosophy of Ramakrishna order, and Viceroy was convinced. And he said, yes, There is nothing terrorist activity or freedom fighting going on from Belur Math, and he then again in another gazette he published that earlier order was withdrawn. Saradanandaji is behind that conviction that he could convince him with the power and blessing of Holy Mother. How she did it. There was another also, Josephine MacLeod's friend was Viceroy's wife. Somehow that connection was there. Viceroy was Britisher, Josephine MacLeod was American. Somehow she knew they were friends. And that connection also worked. And she could also explain the aims and objectives of Belur Math, that they are free from politics. Swami Vivekananda had said, nothing to do with politics. How she managed the things, you see. Now, how once Swami Vireshwaranandaji was in Belur Math, and something happened and he wished to be with Mother. Mother was his guru. He said, Mother, I want to go to Jairambati and serve you. Something had happened, he was perhaps unhappy at Belur Math, or he had a great wish to serve his guru. Then she loved everyone so great. Then Mother wrote him back, Prabhu, what are you doing there in Belur Math is excellent. You are serving Rakhal. Rakhal is the name of Swami Brahmananda, who was the president. That is as good as serving me. Continue to serve him and be there. And it was decided he remained there. Now, how she managed that? When she was in Dakshineshwar, it was a very small house, a small room. Just when I give you the dimension of the room, you will understand how she managed. And it was 7 feet 9 inches broad and 7 feet 9 inches long, hexagonal. Even 8 feet, almost 8 feet wide, not even 8 feet wide and 8 feet long. That was the size of the room. And height was only 9 feet 3 inches. So short height. Holy Mother herself was perhaps 5 feet 5 inches or 4 inches something height. And how was the door? Door was 2 feet wide, 2 feet 2 inches, only 2 feet wide and 4 feet tall. So door was very short height, shorter than her own height. And many times she had to rush. Sometimes Sri Ramakrishna calls her to bring something and she had to rush and hit her head on that door frame. And used to have always sometimes swollen head. One time she got even cut. Holy Mother himself says, one time there was a cut. So that door frame was so short. And how did she manage that small room? And not only that she lived here, it was her kitchen also. Storeroom also. That 8 feet by 8 feet room was her kitchen and storeroom. Dal, rice, flowers, spices, oil, everything was put there. And oven. All were kept in that room. One end was her bed. Not only this, there were guests, women guests coming sometime, and when they had to leave, pass the night there, they would be with Holy Mother. Lokhi Didi was often companion and they used to stay with Holy Mother's room. In that room, how she managed. And the ceiling, that 9 feet, only 9 feet tall ceiling, there were something hanging, the things were kept and they were hanging on the ceiling. Even she could stand erect there. So Holy Mother also perhaps had to have folded their legs while she was sleeping. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to live in Gambhira in Puri. His room was so small, he never could stretch his leg fully while sleeping. He had to fold his leg all night. How hard she used to do. And still in that room, she used to manage everything. And she used to go out for nature's call at 3 a.m. in the morning. Whole day she was locked, never went out because nobody could see her. And if there was nature's call, she had to wait till evening until dark falls. That was her condition. And day after day, she managed this. And after that she says, how did she feel? She feels, why people talk of so much problems? I always felt that there is a picture of bliss installed in my heart. I never felt any pain. And Holy Mother's another management. When with Swami Vivekananda, Western disciples came, there was a conflict. Westerners were not accepted by the society, particularly this Brahmin, this caste, higher caste people, they didn't accept the Westerners at that time. Because they belonged to other religion, they ate beef and also those small things were there. Now Swami Vivekananda had a doubt how Holy Mother accepts these Western ladies. So he, with prayer, he sent them, Nivedita and other holy people, to Holy Mother. Just praying that she accepts. Not only that, she accepted them as her own daughter, as she accepted all children, because she is the mother of the universe that was there. She even dined with Nivedita and Holy Guru. Oh, Swami Vivekananda was so happy when Holy Mother accepted them. Yes, the work of the Ramakrishna order, where whole world citizens will come together to work for the humanity and work for their own liberation, will be fulfilled. So Holy Mother was that intelligent. Her management, power of management, came from spiritual wisdom and her motherly love, pure motherly love, divine love for everyone, equal. As we read, it was being read that one of the head of a center complained against the novices, and head of the center was very dear to Holy Mother. He said, these novices are not doing well work, and whenever I scold them, why don't you work? They go to you or Saradanandaji and you give them protection. If you do that, how can I work? Don't protect when I send them. Holy Mother scolded them. What do you say? You are not treating novices well. They have just come and you are asking not to treat them as my son. They are my children. Where will they go? When they come to me, I will certainly protect. You have no right to say that. How could you say that thing to me? So Holy Mother is the mother of everyone. That's what people who met him felt. Even these Westerners, they grew up in a different environment. They go to a person, not literate, living a simple life of a widow, and so many different cultural differences between them and the Holy Mother's lifestyle. But how they felt after seeing the Holy Mother, just they were carried away by her love. I will close this talk with Sister Nivedita's letter written to Holy Mother. She had come to US and had gone to a church to pray for her acquaintance who was sick. And what she felt in the church, she describes. And that letter, portion of that letter I write. Beloved Mother, the full letter. Beloved Mother, this morning, early, I went to church to pray for Sarah. Sarah was sick. All the people there were thinking of Mary and Mother of Jesus. And suddenly, I thought of you, your dear face, and your loving look, and your white sari, and your bracelets. It was all there. I thought I had been very foolish to sit in a room at the evening service to Sri Ramakrishna, trying to meditate. Why did I not understand that it was quite enough to be a little child at your dear feet? Dear Mother, you are full of love, and it is not a flushed and violent love like ours and like the world's, but a gentle peace that brings good to everyone and wishes ill to none. It is a golden radiance, full of play. I felt such a wonderful freedom in the blessing you gave me. and in your welcome home, dearest mother, I wish we could send you a wonderful hymn or a prayer, but somehow even that would seem too loud, too full of noise. Surely you are the most wonderful thing of Sri Ramakrishna's own chalice of his love for the world. A token left with his children in these lonely days. And we should be very still and quiet before you, except indeed for a little fun. Surely the wonderful things of God are all quiet, stealing unnoticed into our lives. The air and the sunlight and the sweetness of gardens and of the Ganges. These are the silent things that are like you. Isn't your thought now and then of the high calm that neither loves nor hates? Isn't that a sweet benediction that trembles in God like the dewdrop on the lotus leaf and touches not the world? Ever, my darling mother, your foolish cookie Nivedita.